Okay, we've covered a lot of important concepts in Python. We're going to do a review of strings, integers, lists, numbers, all that kind of good stuff. And so I would encourage you, try to do this review first before watching the video. I will walk through it. So if you had any issues with any of these steps, I'm happy to demonstrate. This one I'm going to do in Visual Studio Code because I do ask you to create a file. So I'll launch Visual Studio Code and it should have my Python directory open here. Again, if you don't have this open, you can File, Open Folder. I put my folder on my desktop, select folder. It's still open, nothing changed because I already had it open, but that's fine. I'm going to close any existing files here just so I've got a clean workspace. Minimize some of those folders there, just collapse them. So create a new file called review1.py. So here I am in my Python folder. So I'll click the button to create a new file. I'll call it review1.py. Here we are. Done. First bullet point. Let's make the code. Print the multiplication of 7 and 4. All right, so print 7 times 4. Two integers, multiplying them together should work just fine. Print the result of dividing 8 by 4. All right, print 8 divided by 4. Make sure we get the slash go in the right direction. Good enough. Print the result of dividing 7/3 as an integer, rounding down to Python's using the defaults. So, all right, print, I want an integer. I know 7 divided by 3 is going to give me a float, so I want to convert that to an int. 7 divided by 3 should do it. Raise 5 to the power of 4, so I'll print 5 * 4. That's the power operator. All right, numbers. I think we're good with numbers. I'll just put an extra carriage return there just because we're going to start working with strings apparently. All right, first underscore name to the value of your first name. My first name is Jim. Create a string variable named last name. So last underscore name equals Mark words in there. That's good. Good enough. Print your first and last name with a space between them using the first name and last name variables. All right. So I will print first name. I'm going to add to concatenate a space plus last name. That's good. Print your first name and yeah, did that. All right, check. Print the first name variable in lowercase. All right, so I'll print first underscore name dot lower. Make sure I include those parentheses after lower. Great. Print last underscore name to uppercase. Good, good. That should be good to go. We'll check it all when we run it. And what else do I got to do? Create a variable named lower name that contains your full name but lowercase. Use the variables. All right, so I'll create lower underscore name equals first name dot lower. I'll concatenate a string that's only got one space in there, plus last name. If you get a suggestion, you can hit tab to accept it. Dot lower. All right, so lower name. I'll have a new variable there. So I'll print lower name, print lower underscore name. Print the number of characters in lower name. So I got to print. What am I going to print? So the length, len, lower underscore name, will give me that length. Create a year variable. Year with the current year, 2024. All right. Next year equals 2020. Year plus 1. Don't want to write 2024 plus 1. I want to use that year variable there. So that works. So far, so good. I think we'll run the program. We'll see if it works correctly. Print the value of year, print the value of next year. Because when we run this, if we don't print anything out, we're not going to see if this worked or not. So I'll print year, and I'll print next underscore year. Now lists. Create a list. I'll put another space there. The spaces don't matter. The empty lines, Python's just going to ignore those, so that's fine. Create a list variable named countries. Okay. Not counties, countries. Equals, then I got to use brackets to create my list. 3 countries. USA. Canada, Mexico. Sticking to North America. Why? I don't know. Just because. Print the value of the second country in the list. So I'll print countries, accessing that list index. The second value will be an index of 1, because again, we're starting with 0. And I mistyped countries, so I'll fix that. The highlighting here is very helpful for figuring out errors in the code. And add a 4th country to the list, so I can use append. Countries dot append. I hit tab there to accept the suggestion. I will add Guatemala. I lived in Guatemala. We're going just south of Mexico there. I can print the whole country's list. Remove a country from the countries list. All right. Countries dot remove. And sorry, Canada, you're going away. Print the countries list again. Print countries. Hit tab to accept the variable it suggested. Print the length of the list. So I'll print len countries. And if I could type countries correctly twice in a row, that would be fantastic. And there we go. There's my code. So I can try to run it, make sure that it runs and does what I'm expecting. So does this make sense? Did I do what it asked? So 7 times 4 is 28. 8 divided by 4 is 2. I wanted to make sure I got an integer. So that gave me 2. Yep. 5 to the power of 4, 625. Yep, all this is good. I printed my first name and last name with a space. So yeah, properly capitalized. I printed the first name variable in lowercase, so I got lowercase Jim. I printed last name in uppercase, so I got capital Markwardson. I created a variable lower name that got my full name but lowercase, and then I printed it out, and it is all lowercase. So that's good. Number of characters in lower name is 15, so that I think that checks out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Excellent. I printed the value of year 2024 and next year 2025. So all that was good. I created a list with USA, Canada, and Mexico. I just printed out the second value in that list, which was Canada, so that was good. I added Guatemala to the list and printed it out. There's Guatemala. I removed Canada from the list, and it was indeed removed. And then when I printed the lengths of the list, I got 3. So as a quick review activity, yeah, this code worked just fine. All of the output is what I expected. Probably should have moved this up just a little bit. But yeah, there's all the code. There's the output. One of the hardest things I will say in making a transition from academia to industry was figuring out how to know if the code I wrote worked. Lots of time in school, there's an answer key. You take a test, you see the answers that you got right or wrong. But in industry, you have to come up with a way to check yourself. So make sure that when you're writing code, you can determine if your code worked correctly. In school, there's often an answer key, and it's like, oh, I got 84%. I guess that's a B. I guess I can get by. When you got an actual job and you have to write code that works and your client expects that code to work, it can be trickier because there's no answer key. You've got to create your own answer key, figure out what you expect, and then go ahead and implement that. While we're here, I will take a look at some of the Python practice. I would encourage you take a look at, we've worked with numbers. So integers, I can come here to integers and I can edit this code. This is just extra review. So this is beyond the actual lesson here, but we've got all this practice code, might as well use it. I'll show an example in some of these files, but I would encourage you to see if you can go through those folders and fix some of this code. So age equals 42. That'll assign the integer 42 to the age variable. Let's try putting a really big integer in here. Here's one thing Python's really good at. We'll see if it can handle that. We should get 2 there. Convert the string 7 to an integer. So we can do int 7. So let's run this. Do I get any problems? No. Worked well. I expected 7. I got 7. Going up, I should get 2. I got 2. My really big integer, what if we make it gigantic? That's a very big number. I'll run that again, see if Python can handle it, and it can handle it just great. So Python's doing good. So check out those numbers. Let's go to strings, quotation marks. Here's some code. Fix the following Python code. I can see errors here. Print, I'm coming home. You can fix this a few ways. I could fix this code by changing the outer single quotes to double quotes, and that's good. She said, pass the salt. I've got a problem because I've got quotation marks wrapping my string data. And I've got double quotes in the string data. I can escape those with a slash if I want to. That works just fine. I've got to escape both of these quotation marks that are part of the string data. I could do that again here. I can escape those single quotes, and that'll pass. This last one, I've got double quotes in here. Instead of escaping them, I'll change those to single quotes. And, oh, but I've got 2. I'll escape that first single quote. So yeah, I thought I'd fix that, but I didn't notice that single quote there in she's. So I've got to escape something in there. I can't get away with the trick of just changing whether I'm using single quotes or double quotes to surround the entire string. But if I run this, should look good. Yep, I'm coming home. She said, pass the salt. I love quoting in air quotes. She's going to say fine. All right, all that's good. So quotation marks are good there. There's an example there of how to create strings. I'll just do one example. I'm going to put Jim2 there. I am Dave. I'm just using Jim because that's my name. You could use your name. That's fine. Then I would print Jim2. That would work. So how would I store I'm Dave? Jim3 equals, I'll use double quotes here because I've got a single quote in there. So that's work. I'm Dave. I didn't print that out. Let's print Jim3. You can just hit the escape key to get out of that, like those suggestions. Jim4 equals, oh, I've got single quotes and double quotes, but more double quotes than single quotes, so I'll wrap this in a single quote. I said, quote, no way I'll escape that single quote. I'm gonna do that. Period. Print Jim4. For Jim5, I need that's impossible, so I'll wrap that in double quotes because I got a single quote in there. That's impossible. I'll print Jim5. Another tricky one, because we're mixing single quotes and double quotes inside the values there. Jim6 equals, I'll just do double quotes just because. It was the, air quotes, best cake she'd ever seen. Print Jim6. And I'll run this code, hitting the play button. It'll save the file, run it, and it looks like everything is coming out the way I expected. So that's good. If you take a look at lists, list creation, I'll just do a little bit here just to get started. Create a list variable named info with 3 values. So info equals, then use the square brackets to create that list, your first name. So I don't just want to type Jim, I need to put that, because Python would look for a variable named capital J-I-M there. I'll put quotes around it. My first name, my favorite number, 42. Favorite holiday, 4th of July. Print the info list, so I'll print info. I'll just run this now just to see if it's working so far. Yep, looks good. Jim, 42, 4th of July in a list. I see those brackets down there. All of that's good. I won't spoil all the fun and show absolutely everything. But the exercises in the lists, numbers, and strings categories here, these would be helpful to practice to make sure that you feel comfortable working with those key Python data types before we move on into more complex data types. So if you're able to do this, great job. I remember struggling as a programmer getting started. An assignment, looking at the string creation assignment, my very first programming class I ever took, I had to go to the TA and ask for help doing this because I was completely lost. It was foreign to me. I didn't realize, in part, just how stupid computers were. They're not just going to figure stuff out. When you're programming, you have to be very explicit about what you want the computer to do, how to handle quotation marks, all of that stuff, accessing the indices correctly. We have to be very intentional about what we're doing. All right, so good work. We'll stop there for right now, and we'll continue with learning more advanced Python topics in the next lesson.